This manga had the worst anime adaptation ever. Now realistically, this sentence could fit almost any anime such as Tokyo Ghoul or Berserk, but in this video I'm gonna be talking about Blue Period. Now I already made a TikTok on this a while ago, and surprisingly it was quite controversial, with some people calling me out saying I'm wrong and some people saying that I'm correct. So in this video I'm gonna be reading the manga and also watching the anime to answer the question, is the anime adaptation of Blue Period actually good? But first, for the people that don't know about the series, here's a little synopsis. Bored with life, popular high school Yatora Yaguchi jumps into the beautiful yet unrelenting world of art after finding inspiration in a painting by one of his classmates called Maru Mori. I mean, it's a slice of life, you shouldn't expect it to be that complicated. How'd they make that panel so unimpressive? This to that. I'm not gonna lie, the lack of OSTs doesn't make this any better. I personally don't like this part. I'm not gonna lie, it was much more intense in the manga. Just look at it, it's much more intense on here. This one panel, even though it goes on for the whole page, it's much more intense. There's so much that has been cut from the manga already. In the class scene where he was drawing the class, there's actually some pretty inner monologue that was skipped, such as, I'm not set on any colleges, there's nothing I'm excited to do there either. I guess I'm comfortable where I am now, which sets the current mentality of our main character, but they just completely skipped it. And also another whole page shows how scared he actually is of opening up when it comes to art, which literally is only one panel, but I think is pretty important as well. The first episode is 8 out of 10. Nothing completely out of the ordinary, nothing super impressive, but it was pretty good. For the second episode, it gets about a 7 out of 10. Episode 3 honestly gets a 7 out of 10 because it did ruin one of my favorite scenes with Ryuji. Episode 4 gets a 7 out of 10, 5 gets a 8.3 out of 10, 6 gets a 6 out of 10, 7, 8, and 9 get a 7 out of 10, and episode 10 gets a 8 out of 10. Now the reason I'm not watching episode 11 and 12 is because volume 6 that includes the things that happen in these episodes got delayed till March 22nd. Personally, I don't like reading a manga that I already watched the anime for. So now let's compare the anime and the manga. Now the anime either completely cut some scenes or just fully rearranged some scenes to make you feel better to the anime viewer. Now as far as animation, OSTs, it isn't especially impressive. Now yes, I'm not expecting Jujutsu Kaisen animation in a slice of life that's kinda chill, but the huge contrast between the manga and the anime's art is kind of incredible. Now within the manga there isn't really that much paneling, much like you see in My Hero's Academia manga where the characters pop out of the panel, but the art overall is just super impressive to the point that it generally doesn't need it. Now even though the OSTs weren't exactly that impressive in the anime, once in a while the silence of no OSTs generally makes it better. And I'm not saying that this series would have been better without any OSTs, but I also appreciate a good OST or two. But the moments that impress me the most is where there's no OSTs. Now the one point when the animation really stuck out is episode 5, and this is the one point that the animation generally impressed me because in the manga I was slightly confused of how the scene really played out, and that was a perfect example of how the animation and the music lifted up what the manga already had. Now throughout the whole series overall you get very interesting characters which really don't fall into many tropes. You could really find these people in real life if you wanted to, although it would be kind of weird for you to search for these people, and the overall story that the series has is honestly amazing. And this series is generally much like the series that shall not be named, and regardless of the terrible things that the mangaka for that series did, it was pretty damn good, and the same can be said for this series where it's absolutely amazing. My problem with the anime series is that it brings down a 10 out of 10 / 9 out of 10 down to a 7 out of 10 so they can match the animation, music, etc. And that's where it really killed me to know that this could have been much better. And I generally feel that sentiment isn't only felt by me, but it's also felt by the anime community with a 7.88 rating on the anime. But you also have to put into account the crazy competition that it had in that season. Now let's talk about the manga. I generally think the beauty within each art piece and each little panel is absolutely amazing in the manga, and it accentuates every single detail very clearly. And there's some scenes from the manga that got ruined in the anime. For example, when Ryuji got rejected, it seemed much more intense in the manga than it was in the anime. Or literally in the first episode when Yaguchi and Ryuji were arguing, it seemed much more intense in the manga. I generally feel the mangaka was able to not only exaggerate the emotions, but honestly capture every single emotion perfectly. Meanwhile, in the anime, the voice actors did absolutely amazing, but then the animation and the composition just didn't give the voice actors much to work with. Now, the manga also includes a lot of foreshadowing and symbolism that the anime decided to leave out for the sake of pacing. For example, this scene of the father shows how intensely he loves baseball, and that might have been a dream that he left behind for the same reason that our main character, Yaguchi, is trying to leave behind art. And that's whether it's not financially viable or not a smart choice. For me, having a dream that basically encapsulates having to do something something pretty damn impossible. Compared to the usual viewer that doesn't care about a scene like this, to me it had a lot of meaning. Now throughout the manga there's also a lot of themes of validation, whether it be the validation of teachers, examiners, or just trying to find validation within yourself. But to have a more specific example is when Ryuji ran away from home, and also the fact that Ryuji is a cross-dresser, he isn't exactly the norm of society. However, regardless of all social norms and everything that's quote-unquote normal, he still isn't scared to wear himself naked. And him being true to himself is generally a badge that made me enjoy this character much more. And every single chapter that Ryuji's involved in one way or another, I always love to see the character progression within Ryuji. The theme of talent versus hard work is also a huge theme throughout the story, with Yatora, our main character, basically calling everybody a genius that's better than him, and also saying that he doesn't have the talent for it, so he counteracts that by doing extra work. For example, in the winter break, he asked for 5 extra pieces to do. Now, am I saying is the anime bad? When you have things such as X-Arm, there really isn't a definition to bad except for X-Arm. The Blue Period anime is just much more underwhelming compared to the manga. But if you're anime only, you're generally not missing much. Apart from a lot of cutout scenes that were left out of the anime simply because it would make the pacing worse, but apart from learning more about art and art colleges in Japan, and also some conversation with the parents of our main character, you're really not missing much. However, if you really want the full experience of the Blue Period series, I recommend you read the manga. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the series. Was I wrong in my take on the anime? And yeah, deuces!